Hi everyone, it's Adriana, and today we're going to be making a floral inspired bouquet made out of chocolate covered Oreos. So I wanted to do these for a while. These are just Oreos that we're going to dip in some melted chocolate, and then I hand painted mine with flowers because I'm kind of in the mood for spring right now, but you can decorate these however you like because the technique is going to be the same. Alright, so the first thing we're going to need are Oreos, and I'm going to dip 15 today, and any flavor will work, although I find that the double stuffed Oreos work a little bit better because they have a greater width and allow the lollipop stick to sit inside the two cookies a little bit easier. Also, if you can, try to find cookies that aren't broken. I don't know why, but most of my double stuffed Oreos were broken. They must have fallen off of the delivery truck or something, but don't worry if they are because we can always put them back together with melted chocolate. All right, once we've selected all our cookies, it's time to melt our chocolate. So I have about 12 ounces of Mercken's white compound chocolate here, and I melted it on 30-second intervals until it was completely melted. The first thing that we're going to do is anchor the stick inside the cookie with melted chocolate. So I have some Wilton sticks here. They're about 11 inches long. Then just remove the two cookies from each other, and notice how one of my cookies is cracked. Don't worry if you see that because we're just going to use a little bit of melted chocolate to glue it back together. Then take your lollipop stick and dip it in the melted chocolate about an inch or so, and then kind of burrow it into the cream so that it doesn't, like create an uneven cookie. And then place your other cookie on top, and then that extra chocolate will glue the two pieces together. So this just creates a really sturdy cookie so that when we get to the dipping process, the cookies don't fall off into the melted chocolate. Then just pick the whole thing up and make sure that it's nice and secure. So notice how my other cookie was also broken. So we're just going to use a little bit more melted chocolate to glue those two pieces together. Then just place that cookie to dry on a tray while you prepare all of your other cookies. Make sure that you have a large tray with a sheet of parchment or wax paper placed on top so that you have somewhere to dry your Oreos. Alright, so now it's time to start dipping Oreos. So when I dip Oreos, I tend to have two containers, one for my clean white chocolate and one for my dipping. Couple reasons. The first one is that Oreos tend to leave a lot of crumbs behind, and so when you're constantly dipping Oreos in your chocolate, you can't really use that residual chocolate for anything else. And the second reason is for this project, I'm going to be using different colors. So this first color is just going to be a pure white. So the tapping is to remove any air bubbles from your chocolate, and then you want to inspect your Oreo to make sure that there aren't any large crumbs or broken pieces. And then what I like to do is turn my cup to the side because I'm not using a full cup of chocolate. I'm only dipping 5 Oreos that are going to be white. So turn my cup to the side and then place the Oreo flat down in the chocolate, pulling upwards because the air bubbles tend to kind of congregate where the stick goes into the cookie. And so that just ensures that everything gets all filled in. So I experimented a bit with how to dry these. You can stick them in a styrofoam cube and that allows them to dry right side up. Say if you wanted both sides to look really nice. But since I wanted to paint the top surface, I kind of wanted a thicker coat there, and so I ended up drying them flat on parchment paper. So next I wanted a set of light pink Oreos. So I removed all of that old chocolate. I just poured it on some saran wrap and saved it. And then I poured in some new chocolate here, and I'm just going to add a few drops of rose coloring by Color Mill. And this is an oil-based coloring that's made for chocolate. So I'm doing 5 Oreos of each color, and I would say that I'm using about a third of the chocolate that I melted in the beginning. So I had 12 ounces to begin with. And then at the end, if you want to do the painting like I'm going to do on these Oreos, you really don't need that much extra chocolate because it just uses very little. So I would say that it's about 3 to 4 ounces per 5 Oreos, and then you're going to have some left over, but you do need a little bit of extra chocolate to make sure that you thoroughly coat these Oreos. Yeah, so whenever you need to change a color, you have to dump out the old one because these dark Oreos especially leave a lot of crumbs behind. So this is how I do it. Just put a little saran wrap on the counter, then pour the chocolate on top, and then fold it into a little square and then let it harden, and then you can save it for something else. All right, and for the last set of Oreos, I just added a little bit more of that same food coloring. So the rose, instead of adding like 2 or 3 drops, I added about 5 or 6, and that's just going to give me a darker hue of pink. Once your Oreos are all dry, it's time to decorate them. So you can drizzle on more chocolate and add some sprinkles. I guess I had some creative itch that I had to scratch because I came up with the idea of painting with chocolate. So I'm creating kind of like a little palette on this plate with the little bit of chocolate that I have left over. And then I'm just going to add some colors using some Color Mill oil-based chocolate. So this is what the Oreo looks like when it's all dry. A nice blank canvas for you. You can write messages on here. I'm going to try to, I guess, channel my inner impressionist and do some sort of garden scene. Once all the painting was finished, I went and individually packaged each Oreo because they are going to be touching inedible flowers. But if you're using edible flowers like roses or something like that, you can definitely leave them out in the bouquet. To make the paper that goes around the bouquet, you need a square piece of wrapping or craft paper and then some tissue paper right on top of that, and position it so that it's kind of a diamond facing you. Then on top of that, place a layer of greenery or filler flowers. Then take your Oreo pops and stagger them. So you're going to do a row of 4, then a row of 5, then a row of 3 at the bottom. Place more of your filler flowers on the side to kind of frame the Oreos, and then you can tie the whole thing together using some floral tape like I have here or some extra twine. To wrap, just fold one corner in and fold that towards the center, then fold the bottom up and pull the other side all the way around towards the back and tape it shut. Finish off with a little bit more ribbon, and there you have your Oreo bouquet.